Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. Reality, spirituality. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real. Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. Reality, spirituality. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
That's right. It's so nice. I played it twice. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. Thank you for being here. The last show, well, we don't know. I might be inspired to do a show tomorrow. But in this present moment, the last show of 2020, the last Reality Spirituality Radio show of 2020. Woo! Did this year go by fast to you? What's going on out there in podcast land, in online radio land? Anyway, let me just open the show by saying I really appreciate and thank you all for listening. Thank you for the support I received in 2020. Thank you for everything. I really, really, really love my listeners. I love when you call in. I love when you send me emails and ask me the tough questions. I even love it when you don't agree. In fact, I really like it when you don't agree because, listen, the not agreeing, I don't take it personally. All it does is stimulate me to even think deeper about a topic. I really welcome all perspectives. I ain't saying I'm having you over for dinner, but I definitely welcome all perspectives. And thank you for supporting Reality Spirituality Radio this year. I really, really, really heartfelt, arms are out. Thank you, my dear audience. Woo! And so for my new listeners, yes, I still get new listeners. At the end, you're listening to the last show of 2020. Who is this Rebecca Norrington, Reality, Spirituality, Happiness Specialist? What? Exactly. And what I share on the show is how to experience more happiness throughout your life. It's that simple, but is it that simple? And more than experiencing more happiness, when I say happiness, I'm talking about a deep-seated, deep-rooted in, what are you rooted in? Listen, we're all rooted in something. When you're building a house, there's a foundation. So what is your foundation? What is your personal foundation? And we're all different. We're all different. We are as different as our fingerprints. And so when I say what are you rooted in, it's really about the question really is, how well do you know self? Because before you can before you can search, look for, discover this happiness thing, this happiness feeling, this happiness vibe, you got some homework. You really, it's interesting how many people don't really know themselves. And when I say know yourself, I'm talking about without the programming, because we were all programmed to believe, to act, to a certain way. And I'm here to share with you that is the programming that is making, that is the cause of the suffering. It is the programming, not the actual experience, that causes all of the suffering. And we're going to be talking, it's so interesting, the last show, 2020, the last show, we're going to be talking about the programming here, the programming of 2020. But before I go on, let me just share with my new people, because I was rewatching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. And one of the things that they commented about him was that he liked to play in all the games. No, not only not to play in all the games. He played hard in all the games. He played like it was a championship game. He played hard. And he said the reason why he did that is he never knew, wherever he was, whether he was at home in Chicago or whether he was on the road playing a game. He never knew if somebody hadn't seen him again. So he says, for the first time anyone seeing me or anybody watching me play, he had a reputation to hold up. He was a hard, strong player. Well, it was his passion. It was his passion. It was his gift. It was his destiny to play basketball at the highest top level. Some say he's the best of all time. I'm not here to debate any of that, but the best of the best of the best have to practice. And so one of his perspective, one of his beliefs is, I'm going to play hard every single time. But the truth is, that's just his nature. He plays hard when he's playing golf. He plays hard when he's a competitive, athletic energy. And so those types, and I'm using air quotes here, those types are competitive, and they are going to play hard. I mean, they're not going to half-ass it. I wonder if there's anything he half-asses. Who knows? But my point is this, if I have a point. My point is, the reason why I explain things, because I never know if anybody is listening to this show for the first time. I had somebody email me last week, and they said, Rebecca, I didn't even know how I found you. And who are you? And how long have you had the show? And on and on and on. So I never know if somebody's listening to the show for the first time. So I really like to set an introduction. So my introduction goes like this thing called happiness. And when I say happiness, when I ask people, when I ask anyone, do you want to be happy? Or everybody, this happiness thing, everybody wants to be happy. Yeah. Give me some of that happiness on the menu. I'll take a cup of happiness, please, and an extra and a plate to go. So, yeah, the hands go up. I want to be happy. You know the feeling. I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel good about my life. And when I say happiness, my definition of happiness is the ability to be at peace regardless of what happens to me and regardless of what doesn't happen. And that includes the pandemic, and that includes the year 2020. Now, the interesting thing about 2020, it is a year that will go down in history like no other year that man has been through. It's a huge time in history. It ranks up there with the world wars, World War I, World War II, all the wars, any kind of war you could think of. It goes in there with these tsunamis that have destroyed countries, that have destroyed cities. It goes in there with earthquakes. It goes in there with 9/11. The year 2020 is huge. People are going to be talking about 2020 forever. for so many different reasons. And listen, when I say I'm a happiness specialist, when I raised my hand and said, "Yeah, universe, I'll take that job." Hey, universe, what positions do you have open? Happiness specialist? What can I do? What? I don't know why. It was something that I've always been interested in. I remember at an early age, and I've said this before hundreds of times on the show, when I was younger, I used to make a wish. I would wish, when you blow out your candles on your birthday cake, or you throw a coin in the lake, or you throw a coin in the pond or the fountain, and I would always wish for the same two things: to live to my potential, and I wanted to be happy. Can I just be happy, universe? Can you just? That's all. I want to be happy, because when I said I wanted to be happy, I was dead serious about it. And I went out, like most people, looking for happiness. Looking for happiness in relationships, looking for happiness in jobs, looking for happiness in my bank account, looking for happiness in the world, looking for happiness traveling, all of the things that I did, looking for happiness in what I did, in what I accomplished, who I was with. How did I look? When I say how did I look, how much did I weigh? Oh, I'll know I'll be happy when I lose that next 10 pounds, when I lose that next 20 pounds. Oh, I'll know I'll be. And you know the interesting thing about that? My mother, she lived to be, I think it was 89. Anyway, this woman at 85 years old, 86 years old, before she, went a little mental, she was always on a diet, some kind of diet. Got to lose weight. And then when you do lose the weight, then you're supposed to feel good about losing the weight, correct? So this happiness, this surge, I want to be happy, it never comes from anything I did or do. And so, because I've been heavy and I've been skinny. I've been medium and I've been slim. And you know what I've found? And I'm talking about a fluctuation of anywhere from 20 pounds, 25 pounds, down to skin and bones, when you don't eat, and skin and bones down to a little chunky, a little extra, all of that. I've been up and down on the weight forever. Finally, to the point, how long has it been? Let's see, 3 years, 10 years. It's probably been at over 20 years. It has to be over 20 years, maybe even longer than that, 30 years. I do not own a scale. I refuse. I don't, it doesn't matter to me how much I weigh. Listen, and sometimes, most of the times when I go to the doctor, they get on the scale. I tell them, no, I'm not interested. I don't need to know my weight. So my point is, it was never about the weight. I could be slim, skinny, still have the same issues. I could be heavy. I could be a little chunky. I could be, they call it the fighting weight. I could be, or winter weight, whatever. I could be heavier. Those thoughts and that feeling, that satisfaction, that happiness thing had nothing to do with it. Going back to moving to Oregon, 18 years old, I'll never forget. I want to live in a forest. I want to live surrounded by trees. Because when I was younger, we went to Yosemite every year. We went to Yosemite every single year. And that forest and that smell of the trees and the river, the Merced River, I was indoctrinated. I love trees and the smell of fresh air and the forest and the water. And guess what? I'm surrounded by trees, and I couldn't wait. I just knew this was it. I'm going to find peace in the forest. And I found everything else but peace in the forest. It doesn't have the peace The happiness has nothing to do with anything that you are experiencing. And it doesn't get any clearer than this pandemic in 2020. When I say I'm a happiness specialist, I am so dead on with that because it is a daily moment practice. Happiness is a practice skill. I gave you the definition, the ability to be at peace regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. And then the formula for happiness is that it is a practice skill. And the simple, and when I say simple, there's a whole list of things to eliminate that we've all been programmed to believe. So there's a whole list of things and behaviors to eliminate that's going to add to your happiness. And there's a whole list of things to practice. There's a list of things that program behavior that subtracts from your happiness, and there's a whole list of things of activities and behaviors that are proven to add to happiness. So I'm looking for my list right now, of course. You know, you heard the reality spirituality theme song twice for a reason, because I was fumbling and mumbling and bumbling around. Oh, here it is. Here's my list. What behaviors subtract from happiness? I mean, I could go on and on and on. Worrying, assigning a label to any experience, the inability to forget or forgive, also known as holding a grudge, lack of growth, a lack of acceptance, impatience, rushing, allowing your ego to dictate your behavior, focusing on the ego. Oh, you know, and the other thing, let's just stay with the 2020. The stories about 2020, all of the stories, there's so much. There's just so much about 2020 that was illuminating for me, because I found, listen, when I say happiness specialist, one of the things that is a constant practice is having a mirror very close. I don't mean that literally, I mean that figuratively. Having a mirror very close, and what did I do, and what can I do, and how do I do, and how do I make adjustments, and it really is about taking responsibility for your own happiness and for your own peace. And when I say happiness, I'm talking about a vibration and energy of contentment, a vibration and energy of peace, a vibration and energy of surrendering, all of it, all of this world surrendering, an energy of vibration of full-on blind trust, knowing that whatever is happening for a reason, is happening to serve you in a way that maybe you don't get it now, maybe you don't want it now, maybe it doesn't feel good, but it is serving you. Everything that you experience is serving you in some way for your growth, for your expansion, for your consciousness. I know I've said it a million times, and this is the last time I'm going to say it in 2020. Let's go back to 2020. Let's go back. We're in 2020. When I talk about the formula for happiness, and I say happiness is a practice skill, and like any other skill, the more you commit to the practice, and it is a daily practice, the better the results. So when you ask yourself, are you ready to prioritize, or you want to experience more happiness, then it's time for you to start practicing. You don't get to experience more happiness without, well, let me scratch that, because that might not be a true statement. When I say practice, it is constant. Let me give you a perfect example this morning. Here's the example. My son is visiting, and listen, we all know what happens when people visit and they're living in the same place. So he has a tray near this chair, and he has this plastic plastic glass and a water bottle, and he keeps it on the tray. Now, this tray is right in front of this huge picture window that is looking out at, I don't know, a lot of trees. I told you I'm surrounded by, I'm in the middle of a forest. And so the tray is right in front of the picture window. And, you know, there's a chair and there's a tray. So, you know, when you have a TV tray where you put your food or you put your water or wherever. So there's a water bottle and there's a plastic glass right in front of the picture window. So and it's been a while since he's been here. So this morning I'm looking at it again, and I said to myself, so what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the plastic glass and the plastic bottle in front of this picture window looking out into the forest where it's a beautiful view? Are you focusing on the water bottle? Are you focusing on a plastic glass? And I found the answer was, yeah, I was. And when I was focused on the plastic glass and the plastic water bottle that was right in front of this beautiful picture glass window, it's huge. The window goes from almost the ceiling to the floor, so it's a really big window. And I'm focused on the plastic. I'm focused on the plastic. That is the example. That is one of many examples I want to share with you about this 2020 year, this year of 2020. What did 2020 teach me about me? Well, let me tell you right off the bat that I wasn't as accepting as I thought. I wasn't as accepting of others as I thought I was. I mean, I'm up here, acceptance. And the thing with acceptance of others, before you accept others, there is the practice is acceptance of self. So what? I got more things to accept about me? Hey, if I got work, if I have homework, you can better believe that I'm going to be doing it. I mean, why wouldn't I? Because doing the homework and practicing is just going to add to my peace. And before I even said anything about the plastic glass, I just told my son that because I wanted to let him know that, yes, you can leave your cup on that tray. You can leave your water bottle on the tray right in front of the picture window because it's my job, it's my responsibility to find peace looking out that window, not your responsibility to move your glass or move your water bottle that's blocking this huge picture window. The truth is, it's always my responsibility, and that's empowering. I'm the one that is in control or responsible for my happiness. Not him, not anybody else, not the pandemic, not the lockdowns, not the whole thing, not the election, none of that. If I point my finger and look at anything outside of myself and say that is the reason why I'm feeling a certain way, number one, it's wrong, it's not true. Number two, it's a story. And I've always said, watch the stories. Who is authoring those stories? Is it your ego? Is it the ego? Because the ego is always going to tell you. The ego always brings bad news. The ego always has a story to tell that is not in your favor or anyone else's favor. It's just not. I ain't hating on the ego. I'm just describing that. I'll tell you this, my dear audience. If this was 10 years ago, I'm going to say 3 years ago. And that plastic cup, and that plastic water bottle was sitting right there in front of this picture window, and I look outside and I see trees, and now I'm focusing on some plastic. That cup and that bottle would have had to be moved. I would have had to move that for me to find any beauty or to be okay with looking out of that picture window. And today, December, whatever date this is, that plastic cup and that plastic bottle can stay right there. It doesn't matter. I don't care. There is no way I'm allowing my ego to focus on the plastic. And how about this? Can I find beauty in a plastic glass and a plastic water bottle? Can I? Apparently, when I first was, my ego couldn't find any beauty in it at all. When I say this is a practice skill, it is very empowering when you can shift your perspective and instantly you get an energy shift. But let's talk about what 2020 taught me and what 2020 taught you, 2020 and happiness. One of the things, we are in a class, ladies and gentlemen, my dear audience. We are in the class of life. We are always in a class. There is something always to learn. Being human is a place of learning and growing, expanding, getting. And I look at it as a place where higher consciousness. In other words, I remember years ago, not only would that plastic glass and that plastic water bottle would have bothered me, but it would have angered me. I would have gotten angry. Why is that there? Oh, you put it away. What was he thinking? All of it. So when I say know yourself, study yourself, watch yourself grow, celebrate your growth, I'm talking about the smallest little glimpses of growth to celebrate. And now, in December 2020, I don't care if the plastic glass is there or the plastic glass is not there. I cannot wait to share that with my son. You ran away from home. No, I'm just kidding. The question that I pose to you, my dear audience, is what do you want? What do you want? What are your priorities? What do you want? Not for anybody else. What do you want for yourself? When I say what do you want, I'm not talking about material things. I'm not talking about what can you buy. I'm talking about what do you want in your soul? What does your soul want? What does your soul crave? And that's a question only you can answer. And that is a question that not only only you can answer, but that is a question that only you will be able. I'm not going to say only you will be able to, but you and the universe will supply you with. I don't even know if any of that made sense at the end. When I supply you with, what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to convey is, and I'm only going to speak for myself, in every moment I have everything I need. Every moment I have everything I need. I need, want, desire for nothing else other than what's in this moment. Now let's get back to the 2020. My ego kicked in. Oh, you know what? Let's go all the way back. Well, listen, it's a challenge for me to remember last week, but I definitely this was a challenge right off the bat in 2020. I believe it was January 2020 when Kobe Bryant, the global basketball player, the retired basketball player, was killed in a helicopter crash. He was killed. His daughter, I think she was 13, was killed. There were some coaches for his basketball team were killed. Coaches, neighbors, parents, the pilot were killed in this helicopter crash. Now, that was early 2020, and what did that teach me? That taught me that, and we've said it before, that tomorrow isn't promised, the next moment isn't promised. I mean, I can't even imagine you see someone in the morning and someone that's young, your child, your husband, and hours later you get a call that they're dead. I can't even imagine. My best friend, his mother was killed by a drunk driver. I mean, I can't even imagine. First they're here and now they're gone. So that first lesson for me was, if you want to do something, if you want to experience, if there's anything on your list, do it today. Putting off anything for tomorrow, why? What's the point? Why would you want to put anything off until tomorrow? But see, I wasn't taught, grab it, let's go, let's live it, live it. And when I say live it, I'm talking about living. And listen, there are a lot of people out there that have active lives. And I'm talking about the bungee jumpers and the parachute jumpers, you know those daredevil types. I mean, they're living it. The race car drivers, they're living it. They're living it on high octane. That living, that's fine too. But what I'm talking about, but how peaceful is your soul when you're living that high octane? Do you even have a peaceful soul? And these are only questions that these are questions that only you can answer. So when I say what I want to do would be totally different. I mean, I remember thinking a while ago what I wanted to see on the planet. You know, where I wanted to travel. There are a few places I wanted to travel. And do you realize that even the traveling, I want to travel because then I get to see this, and I mean, even that, the urgency, because now I'm thinking, is that okay? Let me bring it all back. So why did I want to travel is the question. Why? See, and so I can share that I traveled with people. And then I get a little, ego boost from that. Well, where have you been? You know what I'm talking about. My ego, I don't know about your ego, but my ego likes to try to make me look bigger than, you know what I'm talking about. Well, I've been here. I've tried. I'm only speaking for myself. Yeah, I skied here. I skied in Switzerland. I'm sorry, my dear audience, but that ego, sharing because of my ego, it is such an empty place right now. There is no way. I'm not feeding my ego on purpose. If my ego gets fed for a moment or two, it's not consciously on purpose. Trust me. That ego, my ego of mine, is not here to get me to a place. It doesn't take me to a place of peace. Doesn't really offer any peace. It's always focusing on what's wrong. So let me go back to the Kobe Bryant. Boy, I sure can get off tangent. So Kobe Bryant taught me, if you want to do something, get it done. If you want to do something, hold on a second, audience. Hold on just a second, audience. Okay, I'm back. a little coughing jag. I forgot to put my water next to me. Back to okay, so drinking water. You know, you have to drink water like this. Hold on. First of all, I'm drinking it from a straw. Drink. Gulp, and okay. A little silliness. Back to that. So my suggestion, take it or leave it. Whatever you want to do, get it done. Get it in. Waiting, get it in. The other thing, if you have any kind of conflict with anyone, people listen, I'm not talking to them, any kind of cold shoulder, any kind of holding a grudge, any kind of, they're labeling someone not your friend, your enemy. You know those people that the relationship is strained. Any of that crap. I would say make peace with them. That's right, I said them. I don't care how much you have to humble your ego, even just to contact, say, hey, I just want to say that I was thinking about you. I'm sorry about what happened between us. There's no, whatever. In other words, write your own script. But I would say, whatever happened, I just want to put it past us. In other words, this 2020 is an eye-opener for life and death and how these people, okay, this is my question. What if, here we go, this is the real question. What if whoever you, and only you can answer, whoever you have an issue with, you don't like, and I don't care if it's somebody that you know or somebody that you've never met. You know, these celebrities, these people in the news, and you have any kind of distaste or disdain or dislike of them, I'm here to tell you that it's only affecting you. Making peace and accepting others and letting your ego know that everybody is doing the best that they can in every single moment. And there is absolutely no benefit to you at all for you hating, disliking, not liking anyone else. There's no benefit to that. I didn't say you had to talk to them. I didn't say you had to say, okay, now we're in a relationship. I didn't say any of that. But that holding on to any kind of grudge, negative energy, they're vilifying them. Anytime you vilify anyone, I don't care who it is, it's really about self. And that's something that I had to learn too. Because, listen, I sure do say listen a lot, don't I? This 2020 forced me, and I'm going to say forced me to be more accepting, forced me to accept those people that did not agree, that were not on my, that did not share my same perspective about the direction, how's that, the direction of the country, depending on who won the election, okay? Let's just be real. So, one side or the other side. Yeah, the other side, it is polarizing. It's the same thing with, I'm going to say that, I think I said this before, it's the same thing. Either you believe O.J. Simpson killed 2 people or you don't. So you either believe that one person elected is going to help this country or they aren't. That's what I'm talking about, the polarizing. And so what I had, and you know what? I was so unaccepting of those people that believed a different way than I did. And it, even to the point of when I went out in public, and listen, there's different states, lockdown states, rules, no laws. You're not breaking a law not wearing a mask because there are no laws on the books. But the difference between the mask-wearing people and the non-mask-wearing people, I'm telling you, it was a struggle for the happiness specialist. It was a struggle, and it was a struggle because it was a lack of acceptance. Lack of acceptance, and I could only see it from one perspective. You know there's a problem. You know there's a problem when there's only one perspective. I can only see one perspective. I can only entertain one perspective. So when I went out and people were doing the opposite of what I believed, the opposite of my perspective, I was bothered every single time. And then I said to myself, well, why are you getting so bothered? Why are you so annoyed at other people? That just means, number one, I'm in their business. Number two, I'm judging them. Number three, I'm not accepting them. And guess who was suffering with all of that? The people I was judging weren't suffering. They could care less. They had no clue. The people that I didn't accept, well, they weren't suffering. I was the one that was suffering. When I say suffering, when I judge, when I don't accept, when I only have one perspective, guess what happens? My peace is diminished. My happiness is out the window. I am shooting myself in my own foot when I do not accept someone else. And I see that you're on, Nathan, and I shared the story about the plastic cup and the plastic water bottle this morning because I wanted to share with my audience that I was focused on that. And a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that had to be moved. But today, I'm just getting you caught up, but today I didn't need that water bottle moved. I didn't need that cup moved. And that's when I say celebrate growth. So let's get back to the 2020. So what I discovered about myself is I needed to practice accepting more. And the reason why is because every time I went out, I was finding something wrong with somebody else. I was finding something wrong. Where's the acceptance? And so then after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of being bothered and being annoyed and being irritated with someone else, I had to let all of that go. I had to let my focus go. I had to let go of why somebody else would choose, would make a decision that is opposite of mine. I had to let all of that go. If I didn't let it go, I could feel myself every time I went out. I was bothered. I was triggered. I was annoyed. I had to ask them. So when I say, "What do you want?" and when I ask that question, I am dead serious. What do you want? When I say what do you want to feel? Meaning balance, peace, because when you really make that commitment and you're prioritizing wanting peace, then your behavior changes. It just does, and your practice changes. I found out I wasn't as accepting as I thought. And let me say this, I wouldn't even have known my lack of acceptance or my need to accepting more if it wasn't for this pandemic, if it scratch the pandemic, if it wasn't for the lockdowns, if it wasn't for, well, the pandemic, the lockdowns, people walking outside, you know, I listen, I still have to say this. I mean, I see people in a car by themselves wearing masks. Now, that's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I do. But can I accept the one that does that? And when I say accept it, I mean accept it without the energy and the vibration of, oh, look at them. Oh, what? With that energy of judgment. That's what I want to say. Judgment. And it always comes back to self. And it always comes back to what can I do? What can I do? So this 2020 year taught me I have more power than I even thought. More power of finding peace even when the outside world, it doesn't even seem like there is any peace out there. I mean, I've seen the anger. But again, if it wasn't for all of the happenings, if it wasn't for the unfolding, if it wasn't for the lockdowns, if it wasn't for I wouldn't have discovered any of this. So can I say I'm grateful for the pandemic? Grateful for the lockdowns? I don't know if I can say that with conviction. However, I definitely can feel, not only feel, I can write down, I can write some tangible things, how I have changed, how I have grown since all of this mess. Oh, hold on a second. All right. Welcome to Reality Spirituality, Nathan. Welcome to the show. What's going on? You have a question, comment? Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I don't have a question. I just wanted to piggyback off of having different perspectives and deciding what I want for myself and how I want to feel and how that can help me even want to change my perspective, because if I want to feel more peaceful and kind of easygoing, then that becomes more important than my one perspective. So it just helps me let go of that, even when I really don't want to let go of my perspective. So it just seems very hard to let go of it. Yes.
Well, we'll see, and that is the key. And I've said this on the show before, and thank you for pointing that out, is that nothing has to change in my life for my perspective to change. I could still be experiencing health, money, relationship, anything that life throws at me. I can still be experiencing that, but I can definitely have a perspective that is going to be peaceful, that is going to bring me peace, meaning that if I'm bothered by anything, it's the same thing with the mask, wearing them, not wearing them, and finding fault with that. Well, I had to change my perspective, or else every time I left the house, I would have been pissed off. And the other thing I want to share is, we talked about it before, but about being light, keeping it all light, all of it, including the pandemic, including the lockdowns, including the political issues, all of it, keeping it all light and putting that into perspective, that it's really not that serious, and that everything has it's going to unfold the way it's going to happen, and just let it go. Is it really that serious? Was it really that serious? And I always have to say no, because I realize when I am serious, and I do feel that serious vibe, I am not at peace. What have you found?
Yeah, I feel the the same, or I feel really similar if I'm really taking if I think something's very important, or the way I think about something is very important, or what I have to share is important, or it's important that it's heard in a certain way, it just feels like putting weight on it. And I can feel it in my body. I can feel, it's like my body feels heavier, or my body feels like tighter. And I'd rather my body feel looser and lighter. And one thing I'll just share that I really like, I don't know if you started it or I started it, but when we have our outside moments outside of the house, with the trees, with the outside space moment, there's usually a little bounce to it. There's a little loose knees, loose shoulders, loose hands. And yeah, that definitely does something to me, I think.
Okay, so now you're talking about another analogy, which is one of my favorite analogies, about the water and the different forms of water. And water when it's frozen is hard as a rock. You can't break it. You can crack it. It's hard as a rock. And then when water is put in a pot, the same ice cube, you have an ice cube, and that ice cube is put in a pot on a stove. You don't even have to turn on the stove, but eventually the hard ice will melt. And then when you turn on the stove, and now the water is getting warmer, and I know that there's a molecular change in the water when it goes from frozen to room temperature to getting warmer, and now it's boiling. Now the water is boiling, and guess what? The boiling, then it has steam from the boiling. So either your ice cube or your water, and or you're getting warmer, or your steam. So the lightest of all is the steam, and it's a variety. Like you said, you can feel it in your body, and I'm going to have to say you're very fortunate that you can feel it, that you are so in tune with your body that you can feel it, because I've shared with you that I'm not as in tune that you are. I'm just not. And but that feeling, the lightness is what I'm talking about. Can you imagine just traveling through, shifting through life with the steam, with the water just flowing, or an ice cube? And back to what you said about feeling, it doesn't matter. Even the anger, the irritation, the annoyance, all of that can still be light. I'm annoyed now can have a different vibration than I'm annoyed. You're so annoyed. I can't even. Can I fake it? Yeah. I'm so mad. Oh, I'm mad. That kind of thing. Or I'm really angry right now. I'm really bothered. The volcano is erupting. Even that has elements of lightness to it. Even the volcano erupts, there's a vibration of that, an angry eruption, or just it's erupting because it's time. I don't even know if I'm making sense. What do you feel with that, Nathan?
Yeah, I love all of that. You have me thinking about judgment all over again, because talk about judgment of other people. What about judgment of myself? Am I judging an ice cube for not being water? Am I judging steam for not being water, for it changing? Yeah, sometimes I am tense. Sometimes I am light. And that not having that self-judgment feels really good. You're talking, and I'm getting. My whole body was chilling up, and there we go, all the way full circle,
self-judgment, all the way full circle, full chills, full-on chills, the self-judgment, and I'm not. Listen, and all I need to do is ask the universe for help. How do I let go of this self-judgment? And I already explained about, I need to practice more acceptance. So when we get back here, we have another little ceremony, how to get rid of all self-judgment, and also how to be more accepting. And that's everyone. Seriously, the only reason my suffering comes from my judgment.
Yeah.
My own judgments about myself.
Can you? Now I do have a question.
Yes.
So how can I distinguish the difference between judging myself and observing myself? And I'll just say for me, when it's challenging for me is when I'm mad. When I'm either mad or I would say mad and or just serious. What is the difference between observing that I'm serious and judging that I'm serious? Or maybe tools that I can use to help me distinguish between the two.
Of just observing. Okay, so first of all, this is going to, I don't know how it's going to sound, but you're not going to like it. First of all, we cannot wait for you to get in that state again, because that's where we practice, when you're in that state. So first of all is welcoming the state. Oh, when I'm like this, then I get to sit in it, and then I get to feel it out, and I get to observe it, just like a scientist looking through a microscope. When a phenomenon is happening, that's when you run all the tests. So a good okay, now this is all coming to me now. A good thing is, let's have some questions ready whenever that happens again. Let's have some questions ready for self. Right in that moment, it's like an emergency. When there was fires in Oregon, we had to prepare to let's go. We had to get prepared, pack our bags, write down what you wanted to take out. I mean, it's an emergency scene. Let's get out of here. So I say the first part of that is to write down questions. Not questions, but that's one to practice. So we're practicing in the middle of the storm. That's number one. Number two is the question always becomes acceptance. Acceptance of the moment, acceptance of the anger, acceptance of the seriousness, acceptance of the ice cube, acceptance of all of that. And then right in the middle of it, and then when I say practice, you got to throw something else in there, is patience. It's just patience with the answers. Patience, and then there's a trust going that, you know what, this is not always going to be like this. I'm not going to volcano erupt. When I say erupt, I'm not going to feel the eruption the same way 10 years ago. Now it's 5 years later. I'm going to feel this eruption the same way that I felt 5 years ago. So my question to you is, are the eruptions different, or is it, or do you feel? Because one of the things about, and I'm going to just talk for myself, this anger thing and getting mad, it really doesn't feel like I have any control. Is that an uncomfortable? Is that? Do you feel the same way? I
do. Yeah, I don't feel like I have control over that, and I really like the suggestion of coming up with questions, or maybe one question, or even one word, something that I have that I prepare ahead of time, because you're right. It just feels different in that state of mind. So how can we do an experiment with something that's not even in the room? So, but I like having that something prepared. I like being patient, and I think because, now that we're talking, I think just because it's me, and in that state of mind, you just reminded me that I don't have a lot of control. So no matter what I use, I think it's the simpler and the shorter, then the quicker, the better for me, whatever my tool happens to be.
Well, you said the shorter the tool, and the thing is too, is there's an amount of trust. I'm going to throw myself in, amount of trust that I know is not going to feel the same as it did 5 years ago. I already know. I have evidence of so many things not being the same as they were a year ago. So there's something to look forward to. There's a remedy to look forward to. But in the middle, when you're right in it, when you're going to medical school and you got to do the study and you got to learn the body and all the parts and all that, before you go to the doctor, before you are labeled doctor, and then the doctor has to have his first patient in practice. So this is not an overnight cure. Not cure. This is not an overnight solution.
Right. Ongoing. Yeah.
The school is never ending. Are you willing? Are you patient? Do you trust enough to allow you have your assignment, whatever you're gonna write down, but are you patient enough to allow the unfolding and the morphing of this whole thing? See, again, I say this, I've said it before. When a child is born, you're not yelling at the kid to say, hey, the kid doesn't even have any teeth. No teeth, can't even hold a fork, can't hold anything, can't do anything. They just lay there. And so there's no, I don't know of anybody that's yelling at a kid to hurry up, start walking and going to school, then hurry up, get your driver's license, get out of the house, hurry up. But see, that self-hurrying up, that self-lack of patience, that lack of, and I'm talking about myself, lack of compassion for self, compassion for the impatience.
Yeah, it's compassion for the. I like compassion for the patient, and then we said ongoing, just
impatience. Compassion for the impatience.
Oh, compassion for the impatience. Patience for the impatience.
Thank you.
I like acknowledging. There's something very settling in acknowledging that it is ongoing. That there is going to be a next moment. That there is a next moment. That's going to be. I'm going to trip a little in this moment, and then the next moment I might not trip, and then I might trip again, and then it passes. And one of the things I really like that you say is just next moment. I mean, it doesn't get much simpler than that. And just acknowledging that it keeps moving like the creek, keeps flowing and going, and that's that. It's gone.
It is really simple, and the fight and the struggle is always against the programming. The programming that says there's something wrong. The programming that says I don't want to feel like this. The programming that is not accepting of anything that our ego wants. So the programming is really the issue, because and it's talk about creating a problem where there is no problem. There really isn't a problem. It's just an evolution. There's no problem here. Now it's a discovery. It's a discovery, not a problem. There's no problem.
There's no problem,
stating,
and there's no set conclusions, and this is set like this forever. You know, one of the things that helps me with this whole 2020 vibe and the social climate, everything about it, is it's just not going to stay like this. It will inevitably change. And I think that there's some, as far as my peace is concerned, I do give away my peace when I convince myself that it's going to be like this, or that it's going to stay like this. And there's a nice release in just acknowledging it's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the other thing, one of the things that subtracts from happiness is just to be aware of how many times am I in the future? Why is my business, why am I sticking my nose in the future where I don't know anything about, number two, anything I create or not create, anything I imagine, usually, I'm just speaking for myself, 99% of the time never happens. Why am I in the future? How is the future serving me? Now, the future serves the ego, because the ego uses the future as a tool. Oh, that's one of the ego's favorite tools, is to use the future or the illusion of the future against its subject.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so this programming of the future, and again, when I go back to the whole thing, practicing being okay with uncertainty. One of the things about letting go of the future is practicing being okay with uncertainty. I don't care. I'm not interested. I know everything is going to work out. I have evidence of my past. Everything works out. Everything works out. Even if I have a project that's due and I'm sitting on my ass for 4 months, and not doing anything about it, guess what? Whatever it still happens. It's still okay. I'm just going to use my website. Started with four people in June. My website is finally up. It's finally live in June. I knew my website was going to get, I didn't know when. I knew it wasn't going to be with this person. I knew it wasn't going to be with that person because how it evolved. And guess what? A week ago, 3 days ago, now I have a live website. June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 7 months? That's a problem, right? No, there's no problem because it was going to, I didn't know when, I didn't know how, I didn't know with who, but the urgency, it's got to get done. No, can't do that because that takes away from my peace. It's going to happen when it's time. Maybe somebody didn't need to find me, didn't find my website. Maybe, who knows? But I am not going to allow the future to mess up my present. Make me feel a certain way about my present. Good one, ego.
Yeah. There's just so many ways. There's just so many ways that I can look at something and mess me up. I mean, from the smallest things to getting coffee. I'm in the park and I parked my car in my spot and no one was really here. It's a nice foggy day. I claim my spot. And the next thing I know, a car parked directly behind me. I mean, this is the same thing that happened on my Reality Spirituality with you maybe a month ago or a couple months ago when I was sitting in my tree and then somebody comes and stands right next to me. So I don't like that. and so I have this, what I'm really liking these days is the initial awareness, that first moment of awareness, and then the second moment. And the first moment for me was, I don't like this. I have the story of why did they park behind me? I'm irritated, I'm really focused on this one thing. And then the next moment is, okay, what do I do with all of this information? And one solution that came into my head was, I'll just pull up a little bit and drive to a new spot and have some space. And it was simple, quick, easy. It didn't involve anyone else. It's something that I could do right now. And that's that. And I think that second moment's really important, because my second moment also could have been, it could have been anything, but what is going to guide me towards peace? Or maybe I don't know if it's going to guide me towards peace. What do I think will guide me towards peace? Or my next step? And I try it out. And I'll tell you that I tried it out good, and then I could still see them in my rear view mirror, and I still felt bad. So then I tilted my rear view mirror down so I couldn't see them, and then my other mirror down so I couldn't see them. And then that's when I really felt like, okay, now my focus is off of somebody else, and it's really just on me, and I could really feel myself calm down. And that's my little story this morning.
What a great story, and what a great example. And that now you're bringing up again. It's the individual's responsibility. We are going into 2021. We and only the person in the mirror is responsible for their happiness. And that's it. And so what are you going to do about it? And that's what you just shared, what you did. So it was either, there's a lot of things to do. You could sit and you could complain, you could tell somebody else. It goes on and on. Like you say it, the story has legs. But then, and there's going to be a moment, because what I found is what bothers me on December the 20, whatever day this is, the 25, 26, December 27th is not going to bother me January the 15th. So it's always evolving, and I say that I totally hear what you're saying. There's going to be a time when you're sitting in a car and a car's behind you, and you don't even notice because you're in such a zone.
Well, I pray that day comes sooner than later, and I appreciate the confidence that you have in me with that. And I'd like to add on something that came to me, that there are, and this is partly from you, but there are endless perspectives, endless solutions, and endless problems. And it's just up to me what I want to choose, because I could pick a million things to have a problem with. I could pick a million different perspectives, and there's also a million different solutions available. So what you just said is what you did with it. So, and I want to just share something that I like that you said this morning when we were outside, and you said, I'm open, I'm open, I'm open. And I might not, listen, I could tell you right now on the phone that I know that there's a million solutions, but I might not know what they are yet. But I can say, literally, words coming out of my mouth, that I'm open to receiving one of those solutions. And then, like we said, being patient with. I might not see it right away, or maybe I'll see it in the next second. But I'll tell you, in this moment, I'm open. I'm telling you, I'm telling everybody on Reality Spirituality, telling the person in the park behind me, I am open in this moment.
And the other thing, and you see how close you are to laughter? You're just a half an inch away from laughter. And the other thing I want to say, and I want to thank you for, is present moment, and you know that there is a next moment. Done. See,
done.
knowing that there is a sense of comfort to that. There is a next moment. There is a next moment, and it's going to be just like, the thing about this consciousness state, game, journey. It is always changing, and it's like learning how to ride a two-wheeler. It's like learning how to ride a bike, a two-wheel bike, or learning how to drive a stick shift. Once you learn how to drive a stick shift, it just becomes automatic. I'm just going to say that. Learning how to ride a two-wheeler, it becomes automatic. And so the practice becomes automatic. There's more things that there's always something to practice and always something to learn and grow for. But what you continue to practice becomes automatic. And there's not, I got to think. And I remember, no, it really does. The more you practice, the more the practice becomes your identity. The more your identity becomes what you practice.
I mean, I'm just thinking about Michael Jordan and that Bulls special that we watch and all the practice that goes into it and it coming out in the games.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
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 So let me just look at my notes about and the other thing I want to say this because I start off with Kobe in the beginning about how he died. The other thing I want to say is, as far as people and changing their beliefs, these beliefs are really deep-rooted, deep-seated. The beliefs are deep-rooted and deep-seated. And I'll be damned if I'm going to sit up here and try to change somebody else's belief. But what I can do is practice accepting their beliefs, accepting that they're programmed a certain way, accepting that they're on their own journey, accepting that this is the best for them, accepting all of that stuff. And you never know, especially when looking at other people, you never know what's behind closed doors. You never know, because now there are, the I know this isn't a gossip show, but Colby's mother-in-law, his wife's mother, is suing the wife now. My point is not about that, but my point is you never know what other people's challenges are. You never know what other people are, how they're living or what they're living. You never know the personal challenges. And so who am I to judge someone else or what they're doing or why they're doing it? In a universe, listen, one of the things for peace is staying out of everybody else's business, staying out of everybody else's business in 2021. Talk about a New Year's resolution is practicing more of what I practice now, which is self-acceptance, letting go of judgment of self. So I'm saying let's really focus on what can I do? What can I do? And whatever you're vibrating, whatever your energy is your contribution to this planet. So there you go. And even the practice when you're talking about, the eruption or volcano erupting, the practice of the acknowledging and the wanting, how can I work with this? So that's what it sounds like you're saying, the judgments, but how can I work with it? How can I, not work with it, but how can I experience this anger and still be okay with self and still be patient and still know that it's not the end, there's always another moment. So for this year, 2020, I discovered so many things that I needed more practice. And then, again, I'm not up here trying to say that I'm doing this by myself. I ask for help all the time. Hey, universe, how can I accept more? How can I let go of judgment? How can I be okay with every single moment in my life. How can I stay in the present? All of it. It's really a lot. And again, when you really make a commitment to work, personal work or introspection, looking at self, there is always something to do, always something to discover, and it is fascinating. It really is. I want to thank you, Nathan, for calling in. I really appreciate it. And the show, listen, I can't believe we only have 10 more minutes left in the show, but Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're in the queue and you want to ask a question, just press the number 1. Excuse me. But that's what I want to sum up for 2020 about sharing what did you learn with self and what did you learn with others. Oh, hold on a second. We have one person that wants to. It's funny because sometimes people want to talk and then sometimes people don't. Area code 951. What's your first name? Welcome to Reality Spirituality.
Hi, it's Nathaniel calling in.
Your first name?
Nathaniel.
Your first name is Nathaniel?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Welcome, Nathaniel. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. What's your question?
I'm just kind of wanting to see, what do you think 21's going to be like? No telling them.
Well, when you ask what is 21 going to be like, what specifically do you want to know? What specifically do you really want to know, or are you wanting to know something so you'll feel a different way? What is it specifically that you want to know?
Do you think I'll be moving where I'm moving, or getting a new job, or getting some more money where I'll be a little more comfortable?
Okay. So, and let me ask you this question before I get to your question. Have you? And the only reason why I'm saying this because I only have 8 more minutes into the show. The show's been 90 minutes, almost 90 minutes today. So I welcome you to call back next week if you feel like you didn't get an answer. But my question to you is, do you have any evidence in your life that whatever you experienced or whatever has happened to you, it's worked out for your benefit, it served you in some way?
I'm not sure. I guess.
Okay, so that takes me. But even not knowing is a good answer. So that takes me to how much do you trust? How much do? Okay, let me ask you this question: do you worry? It's either yes or no. Do you worry?
Well, sometimes I do, but I'm really trying not to. I'm just trying to trust and, let go.
Mm-hmm. And what are you letting go of?
Just any kind of worry or any kind of, health.
Mm-hmm. And how are you letting go of that? How are you letting go? Okay, scratch that question. Do you feel any relief? Do you feel that you are letting go? Do you feel like you are able to let go? Do you feel any lightness? Because when you say letting go, that indicates that there's something you need to let go of. There's something that's heavy, just letting go, letting go, letting go. So are you able to let go? Can you feel the difference?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and so the last thing I want to say, and again only because I'm short of time, because the show's going to cut out whether whether we finish our question or not. But so my answer to your original question is, when you practice trusting, blindly trusting, and you practice this. And when I say practice, my hands are up to the universe, and universe, how can I trust? How can I trust more? How can I practice trust more? When you practice trusting, those answers, those questions that you have, you wouldn't even have those questions, because you trust blindly that the universe brings me. I say the universe. Some people say God, higher power, source. I could say God. It doesn't matter what term. But when you trust, those kind of questions, you don't even have a question about what am I going to do with my job, financial issues, am I going to be moving? I want to let you know that wherever you are in this moment is where you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to be. If something is happening, it's supposed to happen. If something is not happening, it's not supposed to happen. So my 2 cents, if you will, is practicing trust. Nathaniel, practicing trust. And you either do or you don't. And when you don't, you have questions about the future and whether you're going to be okay in the future.
Usually when I call in and I get a reading, I'll either ask to pull a card, or when people want to ask me questions, I don't want to ask a question. I don't want to ask, is a new love coming in my life, or am I going to get a new job? Am I going to move, or anything, any questions at all? They're going to either come up with a card, because it's not, I'm not sure if it's really, good or accurate, to do that. So usually I'll either ask, but I can either, so just for saying, I usually don't want to ask a question if I call in and try to so I always say, what do you here's coming up for me, or I'll just make a question just to kind of get it started, because usually if people are really gifted, that they don't need a question, and so. But just that's been my experience, and I think you're very good, though. I usually don't even press the button. I think you've been on for a while, and I like you better than the other show that's on at this time. So I'm not sure when you come on, but.
Well, I'll say this. I just got the 90 seconds. So let me just invite you to call back next week, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'll put you through the first call. But they just gave me 90 seconds warning, so I just don't want to be just cut you off. But I really appreciate you calling, and I would love for you to call back again. I really would love for you to call back again, Nathaniel. Thank you so much. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to my website, RebeccaNorrington.com is up. RebeccaNorrington.com is up, and it's live. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington, LinkedIn, Instagram handles Reality Spirituality, YouTube channel. I know I have a few videos on YouTube. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always evolving. You're always changing. You're always growing. Love is patient, and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality with yours truly, happiness specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. Have a conscious week, and remember, happiness is a practiced skill. Thank you for listening.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. Over to spirituality. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality.
Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby.
Spirituality.
Oh, now we get real.
Spirituality.
Yeah, it's time to get down.
Spirituality.